Welcome to the fourth episode of the 12squared podcast by Basenote. Today's guest is Darin, aka dogracer, a crypto miner and blockchain educator. Welcome to this week's episode of the 12squared podcast. My name is Felix Hosse, and my guest today is Darin, aka dogracer. He is a crypto miner and blockchain educator. Darin, I'm thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here, Felix. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Before we start, can you briefly introduce yourself? What do you do? How did you get into crypto? All these nice questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in central US, and by day I have a job as a software engineer, more or less, at a big company. But at night I had time for another occupation. So I started taking on crypto in 2018. My wife works nights at the hospital, so I had extra time to kill. We got kids. I can't leave the house. And so crypto was a great hobby. And that's how it started. I started mining Monero and doing GPU mining, and kind of went down the rabbit hole from there.
All right. I think that connects quite nicely with the next question. You alluded to that you mine Monero. In which ways do you use cryptocurrencies apart from mining in?
Right. So as I kind of started just buying some, off the shelf parts and building what I could. And then I branched off into FPGA mining and ASIC device mining and cloud mining and staking. And I just kind of snowballed. And sooner or later, I have accumulated some very loud and hot equipment in my garage. I just had to do a circuit breaker upgrade to keep everything running without tripping the power in the rest of the house recently. So, and I also got a 3D printer. I started printing out some of the parts I had to hold these boards in a more organized fashion together. And so it really just kind of snowballed from there. But overall, my goal has been to generate passive income. I'm really fascinated with this idea of getting your money or getting devices to work for you, and you sleep and these things produce for you. And so I think cryptocurrency has immense potential there.
Yeah, especially I guess in some parts of the US where, for example, energy is still affordable. That's actually a really exciting prospect.
So for what it's worth, you can also get 100% renewable electricity from the grid, so you can sleep easy at night.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't feel like I'm polluting or anything. I'm using all Texas wind power, I guess, in this case, to produce the coins that I have. So
I think this is one of the more common misconceptions about crypto, that it's so wasteful and that it kind of harms the environment in that way. I think it really depends on where you are, where you're situated, and which kind of energy mix there is. I guess for example, where we're located in Germany, it will be a different story because we despite our image as one of the green pioneers in being green, we still use a lot of coal, I guess. And this is more why Texas especially has great advantages there. Apart from mining, do you use crypto in any other way? Do you kind of pay people with it, or do you receive payment, or do you just hodl? What do you do?
Yeah. So one thing I learned is that when you want to buy these crypto mining devices, especially these specialized devices, are often made overseas in China, and they won't accept payment in US dollars. So you have to buy with crypto. So, I started as basically bootstrapping. I had to mine some crypto so that I could use it to then buy the miner to get more crypto, and just learning how that whole process worked and the delays associated. And eventually the big stumbling block I ran into is having to keep track of everything. So basically you can very easily accrue hundreds of transactions without even realizing what you've done. And in the US, you have to pay income tax on every single one of those for the most part when you're involving a change, one coin for another, or just spending or transaction fees, and it just kind of goes on and on. And that became the big difficulty I see, and almost anxiety inducing. So if you go to do your taxes and you find out last year you did a bunch of stuff and you're like, what have I done? I basically, the first year I did this, I think I spent 60 hours, 70 hours getting just my transactions organized so that I could do my taxes, just the inputs to doing my taxes. And by that time I was like, there has to be, something better than this. Like, is the US really that far behind? and regulation? Well, it turns out they are, but there are ways to mitigate this, which I guess is how I stumbled across Basenode.io, and I thought that was interesting to a degree. So
yeah, I mean, this is one of those use cases. I guess there is for us, it has been one of the motivations to make it possible for people to kind of sleep at night, I guess, when the not feel like the IRS is breathing down their necks, and also to make give you like a portfolio overview and stuff like this. So the next question would have been, how important is crypto accounting for you, and is it just to keep track of transactions, or do you also want, for example, a portfolio overview, or is that more of a secondary priority?
Yeah. Well, for me, my first priority is, do I have the information I have so I can be tax compliant? Because the last thing I need in my life is an audit from the IRS. And it turns out with mining, especially, you generate thousands of these little tiny 10-cent, 20-cent transactions 24/7, right? They're just rolling in all the time, especially when you have all these different things going on. Then you get into decentralized finance on top of that.
Yeah.
Start trading NFTs, and you find yourself almost in some kind of a really troublesome spot. So I think the accounting is really critical to keep track of all that. And I think ultimately this is going to stop crypto from being mainstream if we can't do anything about this problem. This is just part of the new world, and no one understands how the digital money of the future is necessarily going to work. But I think a big part of it is getting it automated, so it's not something you have to necessarily have to balance your digital checkbook all the time. So I think we're going to get there, but there's just we're a long way from there still.
Yeah,
this is important. Yeah,
this is also how I feel, because having tried a lot of competitors on the market, they offer some kind of a solution, but they make you sometimes, actually all the time, enter your transactions by hand, and then you fall down a rabbit hole, I guess. Then you fall down the 60 to 80 hours of organizing transactions rabbit hole. I guess that's kind of the issue there. You made a good point in terms of that this will keep crypto from going mainstream. What do you think is necessary for crypto to go mainstream? So you mentioned accounting, right? What else is there? What is your forecast? What's your outlook?
I think outlook wise, where are we going to go in the long run here? Eventually, I think solutions that are online services where that suctions in all your data and manages that, that's going to be where you want to go. Right now, I still think the do-it-yourself, manage your transactions and stuff is what you have to do. Especially if you're someone like me who's a miner, who when you go to a service and they want to charge you per transaction, and you have 4,000 transactions, you quickly could be paying more for someone to track all this stuff than you are actually making any money. And that's no good. So I feel like this do-it-yourself approach is probably what we have now in the community. And so I wrote my own. I open sourced it because I felt like, hey, the community needs this, and I would like to make my own crypto business successful someday. But right now, this is just a huge barrier. So I went and open sourced my spreadsheet-based stuff. And if you want to copy paste your transactions and track all that, now there's a way to do it. I felt like there was a gap where you don't have to pay money now if you don't want. You can go to my tool on GitHub, and you can use that if you want. But I think ultimately people are going to want to have someone do this for them and pay someone for that service. And I think of that, along with the general move to a more environmentally friendly technology, proof of stake, probably across the board.
Yeah.
I think all the currency we use day to day will have a digital equivalent. If it's central bank digital currencies or what not. Eventually in 20 years, I think people won't even think about this as being unusual. It will just be the digital money. Yes. I don't know. It's really easy. It'll be commonplace. It won't be a thing. It'll just be how everyone operates. And so I think right now is a gigantic opportunity if you're an entrepreneur or a freelancer and you want to get involved in this space. It's early. I've got my own startup. I call it the slow motion startup because I got a day job and I'm just kicking in time on the side. I don't have a team of people. I put in time when I can. And I feel like I can, because I see that 20-year mark. I'm like, man, we have time to get there. Like, this is a luxury, but it's going to be a great feature. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So what's your outlook, for example, on regulation right now as it stands in the U.S.? I think for us judging, looking at you guys from across the pond, there's still some questions to be answered. I mean, here in Germany as well, obviously. But what's your outlook on that? And also, you alluded to central bank digital currencies. How does that affect you as a miner or something? As a miner?
Yeah, well, anything. So right now, the status is basically for vanilla crypto actions, there's some guidance. And people may not like it, but there's some guidance. If you're mining, it tells you what to do. If you're spending crypto, you're trading, it tells you what to do. Now, the second you get into decentralized finance and you're doing liquidity mining or yield farming and staking, a lot of questions haven't been answered. So you're in a gray area. And so that means the IRS could choose to try and make a case out of you. Probably not the average person, but if you're like, a Jack Dorsey at Twitter or something, I can imagine them trying to make a case out of you and prove out some of this law. But they're going to have to regulate this stuff. You're going to need something, an organization like the SEC to come in and lay down some rules. And that'll take some will that just isn't there yet. Though I think there are signs that the US government, anyway, is getting closer. They have a big bill going soon, which actually is going to make things worse. Where they realize that, they can actually make some tax revenue from this crypto thing. Maybe it's not quite a fad. It's going to go zero tomorrow. Maybe we can actually pay for some things we want, services for the country. So I feel like the environment is like getting to the right temperature where you can start actually making those regulations. But I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. They talked about adding some extra taxing reporting requirements. That's just going to pour more cold water on the U.S. crypto investment, I think, and probably just put the U.S. behind the rest of the world. Which U.S. people hate to hear, but it's true. We're going to fall behind if we can't get out in front of this a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Germany is probably not the country that will overtake you guys real quick, but I mean, there are other countries out there, for sure. That's pretty much the questions that I have. Would you mind telling the listeners where they can find you? Where are you active? Where do you what are the channels that you're active on?
Absolutely. So some of what I said interested you, and you want to try out this open source Google spreadsheet add-on. So it's called HODL Totals. If you're in the US, or if you're not, you can use it to track your cost basis and keep track of your transactions. I have information on that on hodltotals.com. It's HODLTOTALS.com. And I'm most active in Discord. So we have a Discord channel associated with HODL Totals to answer questions when people run into issues there. So I implore you to join our Discord. I'm on a whole bunch of Discord channels for all the projects I care about and follow. And I'm hoping soon to be launching an online school and doing some education outreach. So I kind of got my YouTube set up going. And now I've had, tens of friends ask me, how do I get started with crypto? What do I need to know? What are the big issues there? How do I not fall into the bear trap or get scammed? And so I've been sharing information. I feel like I want to make that more public now and offer that as a service that I hopefully can make money from eventually, selling some sort of online content. And so if that's interesting, you join the Discord. Eventually, I'll let you know when that's ready. And I'm sure I'll have some of it for free just to get people started, because I want to see a rich and vibrant crypto community first and foremost. And I want to see people that are unbanking themselves, they're self-reliant, and no one's running afoul of the law. We're not all vagabonds or criminals on the Silk Road or something. A lot of us are just out there really just trying to make the future of digital money and the digital economies. It's really exciting time to be involved in space.
All right, perfect. Any platforms like handles, GitHub you mentioned?
Yeah, you can find me as a dogracer on most things. That's my crypto identity. I'm also on Twitter at dogracerxyz, and on Reddit and all the places you'll find the dogracer active. On my phone too much. My family loves that, but I try and keep up on things. I also am active in the crypto tax forum on Reddit, because there's a lot of interesting niche sort of topics coming up there.
Right.
And I'm always interested in finding a new way new angle, and it seems like every week there is a new angle on how to get further with crypto, get better passive income, better system in place, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a lot of fun.
All right, beautiful. We will also link all of your details in the show notes below, so everybody can then find you. And yeah, this was the episode. I had a lot of fun, and to all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. For the watchers, obviously, thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other next week. Thank you.